I want to start today out with a question. And I know you're thinking, Emmanuel, you always got a question. But I'm going to ask you something. And I want you to actually stop and feel into it before you answer. And here's the question: how does your body feel right now? Now, not how you're doing. How does your body feel? Your shoulders, maybe your jaw, that place right between your shoulder blades. Maybe it's your chest or even your gut. See, most of us, when we get asked that question, we really have to think about it. We spend so much time living from the neck up, we almost completely feel disconnected from everything else below our neck. See, we think our way through our days. We manage, we analyze, we plan, execute, and the body just comes along for a ride. But here's what I want you to know. Your body has been communicating with you this whole time. And a lot of what it's been saying, you just haven't been listening to. Welcome back, guys, to the Emmanuel Dr. EG3 podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel George, and most folks around here just call me Dr. EG3. This is a space where we talk about life, we talk about growth, and becoming. The real kind of becoming. The kind that requires honesty, reflection, and learning how to hold responsibility without losing yourself in the process. And today, we're going to talk about something that we've never talked about before. Your body. Not from a fitness perspective, not the diet, not wellness routine, but the body as a messenger. What it's been trying to tell you and what happens when you finally start to listen. Now, here's how most high-functioning, high-performing people relate to their body. They push it. They manage it. They fuel it just enough so that they can keep performing. And when it starts to signal that something's wrong, the fatigue that won't quite go away, that tension that we can't quite figure out how to release, or that sleep that doesn't quite ever feel restorative, they just override all of that information. They push through. They add more coffee or caffeine. They tell themselves, I'll deal with it later, and they logically work through that it's going to be at some point in the future that they will address it. But see, your body doesn't just forget. What you don't process emotionally, your body holds physically. That tension that you feel in your shoulders right now, pay attention. Look how close your shoulders are to your ears right now. It's been there for weeks, if not months. That tightness in your chest when you think about certain situations, that's not just anxiety. That's your body flagging something to you that your mind hasn't been willing to look at yet. Your body is not the enemy of your productivity, guys. It's one of the most honest feedback loops and systems that you have. And when you learn to read it instead of override it, that's when everything changes. So let's give some points so that we can figure out how to create a framework on how do we handle this. And when I think about the first point is that your body keeps score. Let me give you some specific patterns to look for, because this is not abstract. This is how it shows up in concrete ways. See, chronic fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, that's often a sign that your nervous system has been in overdrive for a long time, that rest alone can't restore it. You're not tired because you need more sleep, where that's what most people gravitate towards. You're tired because something deeper may be unresolved. Tension lives in those specific places, like your jaw, your neck, your lower back, your stomach, if you never quite feel settled. These aren't random. They're often just the physical location where you've been holding emotions that you haven't expressed, processed, or yet released. The jaw holds things that maybe you haven't said. The shoulders hold things that you've been carrying for some time. And maybe your stomach holds on to things that maybe you've been feeling a little anxious about, a little queasy. and shut down. That's the moment where you just can't anymore. You can't think, you can't feel, you can't motivate. And I want to tell you, that's not laziness. That's your system hitting a wall that has been approaching for quite some time. Point number 2. The override that you have of your body is costing you more than you know. See, I want to talk about what it actually costs you when you keep pushing through the signals that your body is trying to send you. See, there's a price associated with that. And most of us don't see it until the stakes have been raised, until the price has been elevated much higher. When you consistently override the signals that your body is sending you, you don't just deplete your physical energy. You erode emotional clarity. You override your decision making. It becomes foggy. Your patience gets thin with others and yourself. How about this? Your creativity dries up. Your relationships start to show strain. And the thing is, you can't white knuckle your way through. You can't just hold on to the wheel and grip it. High functioning people, unfortunately, or fortunate is probably why they're high functioning, they're really good at pushing through. They can look fine on the outside while running on empty on the inside until they can't anymore. And by the time they break down, whether it's from physical illness, emotional collapse, or just profound and total burnout, it's been building for a while, if not months, if not years. Your body was trying to tell you something long before you get to that point. The question is whether or not we're listening. Point 3. I want to give us some ways on how to start listening. So maybe wondering, okay, Emmanuel, you got all this stuff. Okay, I kind of get what you're saying, but what does it look like? So practically, we have to figure out how to start paying attention to our bodies again. Because I don't want to just leave you with this awareness, this thought about, oh, look, my jaw, my shoulder, or my lower back. I want to give you some awareness. And I want to give you something that you actually can do about it. So first is the check-in. Once a day, at a minimum, I only want you to take 30 seconds. Just stop, take some deep breaths, and ask yourself, where am I holding something right now? Not intellectually, not physically, but what does my body feel? What if I were to sit in a space, maybe on a chair, on the floor, legs crossed, and I close my eyes as I'm taking in these deep breaths? Where do I feel parts of my body that may be radiating in this moment? Maybe it feels tense. Maybe they feel warm. Maybe they feel that there's just something that feels like, it's almost calling my attention. And you'll be surprised what starts to surface when you actually allow yourself to ground and get back into your body. Paying attention to your breath, feeling your chest rise and fall. Those areas where you may be carrying something become pretty prominent. Now, I know you're yelling at me. You're thinking, well, Emmanuel, Dr. G3, once I try to sit down, I start thinking about the grocery lists and the things that I got to do and all my responsibilities. But if you sit, those thoughts, like waves at the seashore, just like they come in, they'll eventually drift away. But sitting down to yourself for that check-in, again, you'll be amazed what's able to come up from it. Again, don't get too logical about it. What is seeming to be calling to your attention in that quiet moment? Secondly, when something comes up in your body, right? Feeling, thought, tension, radiating, tingle, get curious instead of immediately trying to fix it. Man, the shoulder is kind of giving me some problems. Or, man, my feet. Or, man, I just have that headache. See, before you reach for that, maybe, I don't know, your preference, ibuprofen, or coffee, caffeine, or how about this, distraction, you may want to ask yourself, what might this be telling me? It might be that telling you that, hey, right now you're a little overextended. It might be that there's a conversation that you have been avoiding. It might be that you just need rest that you've been avoiding for quite some time, but just for whatever reason, unwilling to take. You know you need it, but just unwilling to schedule it or plan it out. Thirdly, give your body what it's asking for when you can, of course. Not always. I know that we have real obligations and real constraints, and I know you can't just drop everything because you have something going on. But when you can choose rest, I encourage you to do it. Again, I know you're thinking at me, well, Emmanuel, what about the dishes and the laundry? Well, I'll tell you one thing about laundry. It never ends. It never ends. So whether or not you started that load tonight or finished it tomorrow, guess what it's still going to be? More laundry. When you can choose to have some rest, choose it. When you can choose to have some movement and stretching, I'll encourage you to choose it. When you can choose to slow down and breathe, I encourage you to choose it. Not as a productivity strategy, but as, how about this? How about this as a sign of respect for the vehicle that has been carrying your whole life? Now, here's your challenge of the week. So those are some practical steps. But this week, what I want you to do is do one body check-in every day. Same time every day if you can. Set an alarm. You have a phone. You're probably listening to it right now. Set a reminder. Do it at least once a day. Obviously, we could say mornings work well. You might need it in the middle of the day as you've kind of got your day going, and this is a way to calibrate for the afternoon. This could be also, obviously, before you go to bed, maybe a check-in and reflection on your day. But all I want you to do is just stop. Sit for 2 minutes. Breathe and ask yourself, where is my body holding something right now? Now, next part of it is that I want you to write it down. Take note of it. Type it in your phone. Don't analyze it. Don't try to fix it. Just notice and write it down. And by the end of 7 days, I think you will have a map of where you carry things. And if we're honest with ourselves, you kind of already know as well. But I think this practice will help you by creating a map where you may be able to recognize you carry things in different parts of your body. That's all I got. 7 days, 2 minutes a day. Well, Dr. George Emmanuel, I'm so busy. I don't have time for that. You just don't know my schedule. I'm asking you for 14 minutes in a week. I think you're worth it. And here's what I would like to leave you with. Your body has been on this journey with you the whole time, through everything you've carried, everything you pushed through, everything you've accomplished. And up until this point, it hasn't quite quit on you yet. It's holding on for the ride. It's just been trying to get your attention. And I encourage you to listen. Not because self-care is a trend. I know wellness and things are kind of a fad right now or just kind of in vogue. But because that body is the only one you have. It's the only one you're going to get. And it's carrying something precious. You. Your spirit, your heart, your purpose. And I encourage you to take care of that vessel. And as always, guys, I love you much.